Greetings everyone, and welcome. I'm the Chancellor Soul Mike Boone. You tune in to another edition of Soul Facts, a show highlighting the music and history of legendary artists and preserving their legacies. In this edition features a singer, songwriter, a dynamic live performer, and a gentleman who helped place the Malaco Southern Soul sound on the musical map. Soul Facts Spotlight artist, Mr. King Floyd. Born on Tuesday, February 13th, 1945 in New Orleans, Crescent City, and raised in nearby Kenner, Louisiana, King Floyd III began his musical training in his early teens when his piano teacher took notice. In high school, Floyd participated in the talent show and won first prize. King Floyd said in an interview with music historian Jeff Hanush, "I decided I wanted to be a musician, and the best way for me to learn was to hang out and learn from the people that were out there doing it." In 1961, thanks to a borrowed ID, Floyd landed his first paying gig at the Show Bar on Bourbon Street through a singer named Joseph Augustus, as known as Mr. Google Eyes, at the age of 16. King then played in various clubs around the city. Afterwards, King Floyd took some time away from his career to serve in the Army for 2 years. After his discharge from the Army in 1963, Floyd traveled to New York and signed with Shaw Artists, a booking agency, and worked in various nightclubs through Manhattan. He also began his trade as a songwriter through the encouragement of Don Covey and J.J. Jackson. After about a year, King resettled in Los Angeles, California, and befriended with New Orleans composer-arranger Harold Bastidi. Through Bastidi, Floyd met DJ Buddy Keelan, who in turn brought him to Art Lobo's Original Sound label in 1965 and debuted his first single, "Why Did She Leave Me?" back with Walking and Thinking.
Why did you leave me? Why did you leave me now? Why did you leave me and go away? Whoa, 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 I'm walking, girl, now. I'm a walking right now. I'm a thinking, honey, don't you know that I'm a thinking?
The single failed to chart. Why Did She Leave Me, back with Walking and Talking, was issued as a single on Uptown Records, a label launched in 1965 by Tower Records, which was a sub-label for Capitol Records. Walking and Thinking was composed by singer great Jimmy Holiday and King Floyd.
I'm walking, baby.
Uptown released yet another uncharted issue on King Floyd entitled "Come On Home Where You Belong," back with "I Don't Care No More" in 1966.
Go home to him where you belong.
King Floyd switched to another indie label, Pulsar, distributed by Mercury Records Production Incorporated under the production team of Harold Bastidi and Mac Rubenak, better known to the music world as Dr. John, vocalist, songwriter, and session musician, later for Atco Records during the 1970s. The duo produced 3 singles on Floyd: Times Have Changed, back with Groovelin with the Three Queens in 1968,
Because times have changed.
Heartaches, back with This Is Our Last Night Together,
Heartaches go away and come back some other day. This is our last night together. After this, our love will never the same.
And Together We Can Do Anything, back with You Got the Love I Need, both issued in 1969.
Together we can do anything. Yes, we can. Together we can do anything. Look what we can do. Because, baby, you got the love I need. You got the love I need. Yeah, you got the love I need. You got the love I need.
All three singles failed to chart.
Never take your love from me. Because, baby, you got the love I need now, baby. Together we can do it.
Pulsar issued King Floyd's first classic album entitled A Man in Love in 1967. All songs are co-composed by Floyd and arranged by Harold Bastidi. After the album and three singles failed to gain any success, King Floyd called it quits and moved back to New Orleans. He complained that he co-authored some material for the label's artists wasn't putting any bread on the table. You see, King had written some lyrics along with a bass line for a new song he submitted to Harold Bastidi, but was unhappy with the arrangements his people came up with. All pretty with flutes and all that in it. That's when he had enough and decided to head on home.
Together we can do it. Look what we can do.
Harold Bastidi made a name for himself on the West Coast, running soul stations for Sam Cooke's SAR label, and was doing production for ATCO, a division of Atlantic Records, and Mercury's sub-label Pulsar. In September of 1969, King Floyd was frustrated with the music industry. With a family to support, Floyd took a job in the post office. Not one to give up on his dreams, King shopped his composed tune to some artists without any luck. The song was Groove Me. One day, Floyd caught up with singer C.P. Love. Love knew King Floyd from his cousin, who was going out with his sister. CP was working with a gospel group at the time and recorded on tape King doing Groove Me at a school in Shrewsbury, New Orleans. The CP in Love's name stood for Carrollton Pierre. CP Love became associated with singer-songwriter Elijah Walker and producer-arranger Wardell Gazier and formed a partnership. Love told Elijah Walker about King Floyd and submitted a tape they made in Shrewsbury to him and Wardell Gazier. Gazier said to Walker, "Hey man, I believe we have something here." Walker said he'd take a chance on Groove Me, but if he lost money, Love was going to have to pay him back. Wardell Gazier worked out the arrangements in his head, then later rehearsed the Malaco studio musicians until he felt that he had it down. The musicians did at first struggle with Wardell's hardcore arrangements, but finally got it. From Monday, May 4th to Friday, May 8th of 1970, Wardell Gazier laid down the backing tracks for a series of upcoming sessions. Once the arrangements were perfected, the vocals were ready to be laid down. On Sunday, May 17th, 1970, King Floyd, Gene Knight, Joe Wilson, Bonnie and Sheila, The Baron Limited, and C.P. Love made the trip from Crescent City to Jackson, Mississippi in a rented school bus to lay down the vocals on the backing track. At the time, Love was rehearsing a Joe Broussard song called I Found All These Things and was scheduled to record it in Jackson and Malaco Studios that Sunday in May. That moment, C.P. Love suggested that King Floyd should take his place in the studio slot time. Floyd recorded two songs that session, What Our Love Needs and Groove Me. Groove Me was recorded in one take.
Oh, sookie, sookie now. Hey! Come on, baby.
The true origin of Groove Me, according to author Rob Bowman, the song had been inspired by a young college student who had worked about 20 feet from Floyd at an East LA box factory. In King Floyd's words, she just watched me and smiled at me all day. When I went to the water fountain, she would make it her purpose to come up to the water fountain. But I was so shy. So I decided I was going to write this poem and give it to her. And I wrote Groove Me. Believe it or not, after I finished it, she never came back to work. So I never gave her the poem. Man, I would sure like to meet her one day just to thank her. After the session, the Malaco staff began pushing Where Did Our Love Go as the A-side and Groove Me as the B-side. Wardell Kazare and Malaco owner Tommy Couch tried to shop the song around to other labels, but none were interested. Even Don Davis of Stax Records and Jerry Wexler of Atlantic Records both passed. Couch and crew returned to Jackson defeated, but determined to put the sides out themselves. With the encouragement of a local WOKJ DJ, Joe Lewis, they founded their own label, Chimneyville, named after a small town in Mississippi that was named after the Civil War. The regiments would come during the war and burn out all the houses in that town, and nothing was left but the chimneys sticking up all over the town. So later, they named the town Chimneyville. Released in August 1970, What Our Love Needs, back with Groove Me, was Chimneyville's first single. King Floyd's friend, the New Orleans DJ, George Vinette, took the 45 single release to his niece's dance party that night and decided to give it a spin on the air. Floyd recalls, Vinette called him while on the air at the station. He woke me up at 5:30 a.m. in the morning and he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, here's the pick of the week." And he hit Groove Me. I said, "No, George, you're playing the wrong side." I'm screaming through the phone and he says, "Oh no, I took the record to my niece's party. They didn't want to play anything but that all night, and I had to leave one of the records with them." Man, that's a major hit. That's a monster, King. Watch what I'm telling you. Atlantic music producer Jerry Wexler heard the buzz and revived his early decision. They agreed to a distribution deal, and by Christmas time of 1970, the single was released. Now back with What Our Love Needs.
Oh, baby, what I love me. Let's stop this fighting. Can't you see that I love this tight? And I know you're gonna groove me, baby. Oh, yeah.
Groove Me hit number 1 on Billboard Soul Singles Chart on January 2nd, 1971 for 4 weeks, and number 6 pop. Needless to say, King Floyd quit his Silver Service gig and went on a national tour. A self-titled album, King Floyd, was issued in the spring of 1971 and charted number 19 R&B on June 26. The great rhythm section on Groove Me and What Our Love Needs featured Jerry Puckett on guitar, Bernie Robbins on bass, and James Strout on drums, with Wardell Kazare playing keyboards. Now the same team that played together before as a house band for Wardell Kazare's NOLA label and featured on Robert Parker's 1966 hit Barefootin'.
We barefootin'. We barefootin'.
And on another R&B masterpiece of 1971, Gene Knight's Mr. Big Stuff, which was recorded on the same day as King Floyd's Groove Me session.
Mr. Big Stuff. Who do you think you are, Mr. Big Stuff? You're never gonna get my love. Groove me, baby.
Groove Me sold over 1 million copies.
Oh yeah, now, darling. Come on, come on. Hey!
You know you got to groove me, baby.
Groove Me was covered by the Blues Brothers and featured on the album Briefcase Full of Blues, released in 1978. And Fern Kinney, who sang background vocals on King Floyd's What Our Love Needs, released the disco version of the song on her album Groove Me, which reached number 6 on Billboard's dance chart in 1979. In 2002, Angie Stone also covered Groove Me and featured on the soundtrack of Austin Powers' In Goldmember.
Just as long as you groove, baby. Oh yeah, make me feel good inside. Come on in.
To capitalize on King Floyd's success, the VIP label, sub-label of Motown Records, somehow obtained the master tape to Floyd's Pulsar album, A Man in Love, and reissued it and retitled it Heart of the Matter in 1971, and released a non-charted single entitled Heartaches, back with Together We Can Do Anything.
Heartaches go away, and come back some other day. Together we can do anything. Yes, we can. Together we can do anything. Look what we can do.
Chimneyville issued more hit singles on King Floyd, starting with the dynamic Baby Let Me Kiss You. King said the song was pulled from radio stations because people thought it was too suggestive. Nonetheless, Baby Let Me Kiss You, back with Please Don't Leave Me Lonely, charted number 5 R&B on April 24th of 1971.
Baby, let me do it till you let me kiss you, baby. Hi! Baby, can I do it till you, can I kiss you, baby? Please, don't you leave me lonely, baby. Please, don't leave me lonely, baby.
Got to Have Your Lovin', back with Let Us Be, number 35 R&B on August 28th of 1971.
Got to have your loving now, get it, get it. Got to have your loving now, get it, get it. We got to tell her to let us be, let us be. Ooh, baby, let us be, let us be.
Woman Don't Go Astray, back with Everybody Needs Somebody, number 3 R&B on November 4th of 1972.
Woman, don't run away. Baby, don't you go astray. Please don't do me that way. Oh, tell me that you're gonna stay. Everybody needs somebody. Everybody needs somebody. Oh, baby.
Think About It, back with Here It Is, number 49 R&B on April 14th of 1973.
So think about it, baby. You really ought to think about it before you leave. If you need some loving right now, baby, then here it is. Oh, here it is.
So Much Confusion, Part 1, back with Part 2, number 95 R&B on January 12th of 1974.
There's so much confusion, so much confusion, so much confusion, so much confusion. That's right.
And King Floyd came back with an explosion with I Feel Like Dynamite, back with Handle With Care, number 35 R&B in August of 1974.
'Cause I feel alright, yo. I feel like dynamite. I feel alright, yo. Feel like dynamite. Handle me with care. Handle me with care.
Don't Cry No More, back with I'm Missing You, number 96 R&B on December 28th, 1974. A duet with Dorothy Moore, We Can Love, back with Making Love, number 76 R&B on November 1st, 1975.
Come on, baby, and go with me.
band Body English, back with I Really Love You. Number 25 R&B on January 22nd of 1977. Three more albums were issued on King Floyd. Think About It on Atco, Atlantic Records sublabel in 1973, Well Done in 1975, and Body English in 1977. King Floyd was a dynamic performer, reminiscent of James Brown and Joe Tex, and made appearances in theaters in various cities, including the Apollo Theater, the Manhattan Center in New York City, the Regal in Chicago, the Uptown in Philadelphia, and the Howard in Washington, D.C. Grateful to C.P. Love for his recording career, Floyd returned the favor by hiring him to open his shows and using his band, The Invaders. King Floyd also performed on TV shows like The Larry Kane Show in 1970, American Bandstand in 1971, and Soul Train in 1972.
Now you know you got me in a bad situation.
Floyd toured the Caribbean, where he met Bob Marley and Peter Tosh, and introduced the public to a new rhythm called reggae, in which was incorporated in one of his tunes, such as I Really Love You.
If you only knew, if you only knew, if you only knew how much I love you.
During this time, a song that got away from King Floyd that hit #1 in the spring of 1972 was called I Gotcha, written and performed by Joe Tex. Tex originally composed the song for Floyd, but some deal fell through. So Tex recorded a version in the late 60s, but never released it. Floyd never recorded the song, so Joe decided to re-record it and release it as the B-side to A Mother's Prayer in late 1971.
Hush your mouth, Mama's praying. I want to hear every word she's saying.
Radio DJs began flipping the single over and started playing I Gotcha, which resulted in Joe's first major hit in over 5 years.
I want to hear what she's saying to God. I gotcha!
I Gotcha peaked at the #1 R&B position on March 18th, 1972 for 17 weeks and #2 on the Hot 100 chart for 21 weeks in January of 1972, selling over 3 million copies.
Now kiss me. Hold it a long time, hold it. Don't turn it loose, now hold it. A little bit longer, now hold it. Come on.
Billboard magazine ranked I Gotcha as the #6 song of 1972.
Ease up for me, now get back.
By 1974, Atlantic Records had not renewed the distribution option on the Chimneyville label. Taken from the liner notes of Malaco's master box set, The Last Soul Company, on the subject they quoted, King Floyd had become very difficult to work with, and Wardell Kazir seemed to have lost his magic touch. It seemed to me more like they weren't making any money and will opt to overlook any of Floyd's composition that didn't mimic the success of his first hit. Wardell Kazir and King Floyd got into too many arguments, so Wardell was gone after King's hit Body English in 1976. Floyd had a hard time coping with the shifting musical trends. He said, when the disco thing came in, man, I was still writing this funk stuff. That just about terminated my writing. Frustrated by his lack of success, by 1977, Floyd and the Malaco label had parted ways.
You wanna
King Floyd drifted in and out of the music business. Financial and personal problems kept him in isolation. But in 1982, Floyd toured South Africa for a month. He was back and forth between the West Coast and New Orleans. He eventually moved back to California. In 1995, singer-rapper Shaggy sampled King Floyd's vocals from his classic 1971 hit Baby Let Me Kiss You for his hit entitled Bombastic, 7-inch original edited, in which credits King Floyd as the writer.
Mr. Lover, lover, lover. Now Mr. Lover, 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 girl.
Also, rappers In Touch's Too Hype cut of 1989 also sampled King Floyd's "Aw, Sookie Sookie Now" vocals and the touch of James Brown's "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud." King Floyd credits the rap artist that sampled Groove Me for renewing his inspiration. It's been sampled so many times, he says. I think the rappers are what really brought me back. In 2000, King Floyd reunited with his former label Malaco and released his Old School Funk CD, but it failed to make an impact. His song Don't Leave Me Lonely was sampled by the Wu-Tang Clan for the song For Heaven's Sake off their 1997 LP Wu-Tang Forever.
Oh baby, for heaven's sake.
Sir, Excalibur.
Trouble, just let me be.
King Floyd said when producer Elijah Walker died, it took the wind out of his creative sails. Floyd says, "Disco, it really didn't hurt me. I was going out of it anyway because of not having the motivation to go after my producer's death. It was just all downhill for me anyway." In 2002, King Floyd appeared at the Jazz Festival Rump.
When you least expect it. Now you forgot to pay your bill last month and your telephone got disconnected.
Sadly, King Floyd died on Monday, March 6, 2006 from complications of a stroke and diabetes in Jackson, Amador County, California. He was 61 years old. He's buried in Belle Grove Cemetery in Kenner Jefferson Parish, Louisiana. On Saturday, June 1st, 2008, a fire broke out on the back lot of Universal Studios in Hollywood. The fire began when a worker used a blowtorch to warm asphalt shingles that were being applied to a facade. Universal Pictures claimed that the fire destroyed a 3-acre portion of the Universal back lot and 40,000 to 50,000 archived digital, video, and film copies. The fire also destroyed 118 to 175 audio master tapes belonging to Universal Music Group. This included original recordings belonging to some of the best-selling worldwide artists, sadly, including King Floyd's material. King Floyd's gifted abilities as a singer, songwriter, and performer helped cement the foundation of the Malaco sound in Jackson, Mississippi. His contribution in music should be celebrated and not dismissed or erased from his original existence in history. Let's just be thankful that the music outlives the man. Until we meet again musically, I am the Chancellor of Soul.
And I know you're gonna groove me, baby. Oh, yeah. Make me feel good inside. Come on.
Soul Facts, a show written, created, produced, and copywritten by the Chancellor of Soul, Mike Boone. Soul Facts is a non-profit music presentation.